Let's talk about using essential oils for emotions. So if you maybe have these questions that I did, I just wanted to walk through and answer from my personal experience, from my perspective. I'm not an expert. I'm not, educated in this. I've read, I've done research, but I have not gone through any schooling or anything like that. I'm not a doctor. I went through college to be a counselor. So I have a degree in counseling. But I have not gone to school for aromatherapy or anything like this. So, but I wanted to just kind of talk through, like I said, my experience and share some things that have been super helpful for me and how I've used them and how they, in my personal journey, have not replaced prayer or my relationship with God. So I have had different things, we've all had different things through our lives. And one of the things that brought up a lot of anger that I did not realize was my parents getting divorced. And I had thought I had put all of that out there, but most of my life I dealt with suppressing emotions. I've gone through things since. That's not the only thing I've gone through, but that was a big deal when I was growing up because it was around high school. Anything that you go through in high school, even if you have skin issues, is a big deal. And there would be times that I didn't want to process my emotions because I didn't want to feel the things. I didn't want to have anxiety, so I wanted to avoid it. So I would suppress it. And my mom would say, if you don't talk about these things, you're going to break out, which sure enough, because our body responds to our emotions, our body reacts in a certain way depending on how we respond to in that process and how and if we in a healthy way can let them out. So for me, suppressing has been one of the issues. And sometimes now I'm aware that has been my default in my past, but I'm not always aware that I'm doing it. Sometimes I just haven't had a chance to get to something. I haven't had space to talk through it or write or pray. I just have to push through. The twins have gone through a lot of health stuff. And at one point I would love to share, but it's kind of complicated and in depth. And I just haven't had time to take the time to really figure out how to deliver that while processing through it. So anyways, so for me personally, suppressing emotions has been a thing, has been something I've had to navigate and manage and release and figure out, what does this look like for my body? How do I know it's coming up? Sometimes, a lot of times, I'm the type who push through, and then I'll break. Whereas my husband's really in tune with his emotions and he knows it's coming. And so he'll be really, really good at being proactive and take breaks or, go and clear his head and, just because of not like, he hasn't needed to escape from our family, but the stuff that we've been dealing with has been so intense that to have something to offer to our family individually and together, we've had to figure out how to invest in our mental health and our emotional health so that we can pour back into our family because of all the things that we've gone through with the boys' health and their eczema and all the things that were deeper than that. Eczema was just a symptom, but it has caused our life to be just radically changed, having twins and then having health stuff that we've had to navigate. And then how do you process that while still we haven't had any time away from being in the thick of figuring things out. So for me, this journey really started to blow up when my parents got divorced, and my sisters and I we process differently. We have different perspectives in things that have happened. Just normal life, what we see is different. And so learning to coexist and respect process while still getting what you need and all of that kind of stuff. For me, it was better in my mind to just be the strong one, be there for my sisters, suppress my emotions and just get through, power through, be busy, stay busy, don't feel. Okay, so what does that have to do with essential oils? So that has been a thread in my life, and it's different now, but it's still something I have to be aware of and intentional with. And so starting back when I started looking into essential oils for emotions, because that was being talked about around me in this, as I signed up to use essential oils, I was like, this feels like a crutch. I've been around just different topics of how to, when you get counseling, and the place that I worked at, the organization I worked at, it was very much about tools and your relationship with Jesus and all of that kind of stuff, but taking responsibility and really relying on God to bring answers and doing the work to figure out, your emotions and connecting. There were no oils, and it was not, you were getting away from medicating, self-medicating, and relying on other things. So this idea of using essential oils, it was like, well, is this just another way to do that? Am I ignoring the connection I need to make in prayer? Or is this, what I've heard it referred to as, is it a crutch? So there's no way to get away from dealing with your stuff. Even when people drink a lot or are on drugs, you're still not getting away from your emotions. And what essential oils do, that I learned through asking questions, is they partner with your body. So going back to my story, I feel like this is going to be really long, but hopefully it's interesting and maybe someone can relate. And I love talking about this topic. So for me, I had suppressed my emotions, but my body still has to release them. So even if I think that they're gone, they're never actually gone. So when I started using essential oils, when I started asking questions, when I started figuring out that I could use them while praying, because nothing can take the place of prayer. Nothing can take the place of your relationship with God. There's no way. There's nothing compared or on the same on the same scale that measures to your relationship with God. So, but you can have tools. If you know anything about grounding tools. So when I was working at that organization, if someone was about to have a panic attack or they were in one, you would help them ground themselves, literally, physically. Do you feel the chair next to you? You are safe. Like all of these different things that you practically, in that moment, they might not have the capacity to pray. So you're going to give them tools that they can do. Something smaller, something to break it down to get through to the next step. And eventually talking through that, and eventually praying through that and unlocking what they need to. So it always goes back to that. But in moments that you don't have the chance or the awareness of what you need to work through, essential oils are an option. So going back to, I started using oils years ago. It was after my parents' divorce. It was years after my parents' divorce, years before what we've been going through with my twins. And I thought I was good. I had been working at this organization. I had my degree, and what is all things resounding, taking responsibility and ownership and awareness. And I process my own emotions. I, don't stuff things anymore at this point. So I started using, because I just thought, you know what? I can be an uptight person. I can get agitated. I can get grumpy. This oil called Release, which is my absolute favorite essential oil, this oil called Release probably would help me. So I'm just going to try it. This obviously was after, like what I mentioned, figuring out and realizing there's no way to replace this is not a new agey thing. This is a plant combination that can maybe help my body release the stress that of anything that I haven't resolved. So in my mind, it kind of makes me think of like releasing it to the surface. And so then you have no option but to then become kind of connected to your awareness of what is happening. So when I started using this, I I started feeling lighter. I started crying when I needed to cry. And there were moments when I worked at this organization that they would use rollers. I would give out rollers, and a few girls would come to me and say, "What is this? I'm crying." And I don't cry. So the girls that were dealing with suppressing emotions were crying like their counselor had tried to get them to do, because when you cry and you're physically releasing, you can also, you're not holding on to your emotions in your body. You're not able to as tightly and as, let me explain it a different way. So for me, holding on to my emotions felt powerful. Suppressing my emotions, not dealing with them, not acknowledging them felt powerful. But how opposite is that when you're actually letting them control you, because they're not going to go away. And when you process them and release them, they no longer have a hold on you. So when I was using this consistently, I felt lighter. I started to become aware of, wow, I had a lot of anger stored in my body. My body feels different. I don't feel as tight. I have more joy. But that was also aligning with a lot of the things that I felt God was showing me, and I was learning about myself. And the timing, you start to put together when you're looking for tools or using a tool, you also are trying to figure out what's the best time, what's the pocket of time that I use it. So if I felt really agitated with my husband, I would go, okay, I'm gonna go use my oil. And it didn't make it go away. It didn't stop what was bothering me. But it kind of put this pocket of space to allow myself to change the direction of my response. Hopefully this makes sense. So it would give me that it didn't make me a better person or make me nicer. It's not magical, even though we joke that these are. But it would kind of like, when I would use this, my body would be calmer. And so it almost put this little pocket of time. Oh, I can change. I am more logical right now because my body is not triggered by something that I used to have an emotional response. I used to feel this same feeling. And so because of that feeling, I have this same reaction, but I don't have to react that way. I don't have to think that way. I can see differently. And so it kind of like puts this pocket of space, and then you change direction. I don't have to talk to my husband that way. And then I would go and apologize. So this doesn't make everything better, but I cannot tell you the power of release. So it helps me cry, and I've been using it consistently these past couple weeks. So I have really felt personally, and there's so much I could share on this, which is not today, but I've really felt, okay, it's time to heal. It's just time to heal through all of the hell that we've been through with my boys, because it's been really hard for me and really heavy, and it's like weighed me down, but I haven't had any space to really process. I've been aware of it, and now's the time. It just feels really important, and not like a fix yourself, you are messed up kind of thing, just to unload this weight, take off this baggage, and pray into it. So I've been using release because I could feel at one point, in all of the stress that's been going on, at one point I had what felt like a panic attack. My boys had been really whiny. My toddler was whiny. It was a really stressful couple days. I think they were teething and growing, and it's just a lot on top of other stuff. Lots of other stuff. I had lots of triggers going on with their health stuff that was bringing up emotions and bringing up all this other stuff. And so I just felt like I could barely breathe. But emotionally, I wasn't going there. It was just physically. And so I'm like, I need to release this. I can hardly breathe. And so I went and grabbed this oil, because in my mind, I'm like, I know there's a lot going on, but I don't even know how to release it. I don't know how to unpack it. I feel it physically, but emotionally, I don't even know where to start. I need time to sit down and read or write or something to make space to process this. So I went and grabbed this, and I let myself cry. And my body, I can't even tell you, I've been using this consistently over I don't know, a week and a half. Every night I go, I put it on right after I put the babies to bed, and our toddler, my husband puts Aviana to bed because he wants the special time with her. And I put it on and I have some time to myself, and I can't even tell you, I've been praying more. I've been more intentional because, to be honest, I'm just going to put this like tab in there, is I've been angry with God, like not ignoring him, but not cutting him out, or like my faith is still there. I know him. I have a relationship with him, but just like when you have a relationship, you can be angry with someone. I'm allowed to be angry with God, but I'm not walking away from him. And we're still in a relationship, but I feel justified in my anger with all the stuff that we've gone through. And I might not get questions answered, and I might not see the healing I want to happen quickly. And I have every bit of faith in knowing and believing that he can do it, but I don't get to know all the reasons why it didn't happen the way I wanted it to, and I'm still waiting for that. And so anyways, so long, just to give a bit of, I really came on here to talk about release, but all of this came with it. So if you're looking for one to release anger and anxiousness, I can't even tell you how powerful this is. So let's just talk about how to use it real fast, and then I will close this up. So I love the smell of it, and I think that has just been a connection for me. And so I put it on my wrists and my neck because I just want to smell it. And I'm kind of honestly scared of what might come if I put it on my liver. You're technically, if you're really, really unpacking, and I would encourage this if you're in a safe place to go with this. If you have trauma, if you have, been distressed, which is like it goes stress, distress, and trauma, then just be prepared to, expect to be surprised in what you might experience. If you have a week that you're going to be around people all the time and you don't want to cry all the time, maybe wait till that's done. You might not cry, but for me, this, and for many people, if you're going to use it on your liver, I will probably use that soon when I know that I have spaces and pockets of time to really unpack this. I feel that's on the horizon, but this past week has not been the week. So I've just been I'm also in love with the scent. So I just put on my wrists and my neck. Either way is helpful. Start slow if you're scared, but still try it out. I can't tell you how amazing this is. So anyways, just a lot of it about release.